Subscribe to The Honest Critique for current affairs, movie, book, and product reviews. Also, make sure you press the bell icon to get notified whenever we upload a new video. The views, information, or opinions expressed during the video series are solely those of the individuals and do not necessarily represent those of The Honest Critique and its employees. The following video contains strong language which may be offensive to some viewers. Viewer discretion advised.
So hello and welcome to a very special episode we're recording today. I'm delighted to be joined by Dr. Eyal Pinko, who is a Senior Research Fellow at Begin-Sadat Center and a lecturer on National Security, Intelligence and Cyber Strategy at Bar-Ilan University. So thank you so much for taking your time and speaking to us, Dr. Pinko.
Thank you very much.
I wanted to start by asking you about explaining to our audience what the Operation Rising Lion entailed. If you could talk about what was the objective and how did it unfold. If you could talk about the Air Force working in collaboration with the Mossad operatives on ground, how did that work? If you could tell a little bit about.
Okay, no problem. So if to maybe to go from the start, why now? Why Iran was attacked by Israel in the last few days? So for many years, Israel tries to fight against the Iranian nuclear program, the military nuclear program, because while developing this program, Iran is threatening Israel and calling to its elimination. And Iran does it not only by the nuclear power, but also by its proxies, by Hezbollah, Hamas, the Yemen Houthis. So the aim of Iran is to eliminate Israel. By the way, it does it with also with India's greatest enemy as Pakistan and as China. So I can say that India and Israel are very well united in this perspective, not only, but especially in this perspective as well. In the last 2 months after Trump came into power, Trump tried to go with them into negotiation to stop the military nuclear program and go into some kind of peace treaty to enhance the culture, to enhance the commercial ties between Iran and other countries. The Iranian played a very dirty game and they didn't want to go there. And they, more than that, while doing this negotiation, the intelligence showed, the American and the Israeli intelligence showed that the Iranian are developing much more missiles. They took from China components for building 300 more missiles in the immediate time, but around 6,000 more in the long range, while building another facility, hidden facility, in a covert operation for a military-grade uranium. And after the 60 days of negotiation stopped, this is by Trump declaration, Trump gave the green light to Israel to attack Iran, saying negotiation didn't went well, they don't want to go there, and they are fooling us. So there is the threat and the risk are immediate. This is not something theoretical for the next years. This is immediate threat to Israel after the 1.5 years that Israel is struggling and fighting against the Iranian proxies, Hezbollah, the previous Syrian regime, the Iraqi militias, and the Houthis in Yemen. So in many fronts of war in the last almost 2 years. So this is the reason that Israeli did the strike in order to prevent Iran to go into a military-grade bombs and ammunition. How it happened? What Israel did in a very sophisticated and very well-organized and planned operation. The way that Israel needs to come from the Iranian western border. So in order to do that, this border is full of aerial defense system. The Mossad operatives were operating probably in the last few months in order to build over there autonomous capabilities that on the right moment, all of the aerial defense system will be eliminated will be taken down by missiles and drones that were implemented in the surrounding near those systems by the Mossad operatives. So before the attack, in the night between Thursday and Friday, 2:30 in Israel time, the Mossad operated these booby traps, these missiles and drones, and made the aerial defense systems of Iran crack down. While doing that, the Israeli Air Force came probably through Iraq and went into the nuclear facilities, some of them. And since then, Israel is striking once again, even in the last, while we speak, there is a huge attack in Bandar Abbas, one of the largest the seaports in Iran. 2 hours ago, Shahid Raja'i, the second largest port, was also attacked by Israel. And I will say that Israel in the beginning didn't hit and didn't put any kind of attack against civilians. Israel was attacking the nuclear facilities, aerial bases, missiles, warehouses, and, which is very important as well, was hitting almost 30 people with the most highly ranked officers in the Iranian Terror Revolution Guard organization and with the Iranian military. The head of the military, the head of the Iranian Revolution Guard, the head of Quds Force, the Air Force, the Navy, all of them were in a very, very sophisticated, well-planned, and very well pinpoint attack in their houses while sleeping, were taken out by Israel with this attack. So this is where we are standing now from the Iranian point of view. Israel suffered from 5 missiles attacks, and if we read the map correctly, another attack is going to come from Iran in the next, I believe, few hours.
Now, I want to expand what you were talking about on the targets. From what we understood, the operation targeted high-value IRGC assets and also the nuclear scientists. How significant is
Yes.
that impact on the IRGC leadership right now? If you could talk about the operational capacity and the moral, is it still operational level that they could come back, regroup, and launch more attacks?
Yeah. We can go back to learn the lessons from Hezbollah. If you remember the operation of the pagers, the beepers, as we call it, against the Hezbollah backbone, all Hezbollah leadership brought huge chaos into Hezbollah. Hezbollah didn't stand until today on his feet correctly after this attack, taking out Nasrallah, the leader, and the main commanders. We see that in Iran, it's affecting. Okay, they immediately, after very few hours, they put other people instead. Everybody has a substitute in this world. Depends which or what kind of substitute. And we see that in any case, that even though people are coming and are replacing the one that were killed, even though the chaos is over there, they don't know what to do, they are confused, it brings chaos. So we see that at least in the first hours and a few days after, it brings chaos, and you see that as a doctrine for taking down the enemy, it's working, and it enables you to operate much freely, and to have the aerial superiority that Israel have now only over the Iranian skies. So it did the job very well.
And if we could talk about what the next phase of this operation might look like, if you could talk about, since Prime Minister Netanyahu mentioned that this is an ongoing operation and it has only just begun, what does the next phase of the Operation Rising Line looks like? Is there a list of targets that they have? Because right after attacking the nuclear capabilities, we've also seen a lot of critical infrastructures and also missile launchers have been targeted. So what's next?
Yes. At the beginning, Israel tried to do 2 things. First, to take out the nuclear facilities in order to disable Iran to produce military-grade uranium and bombs. This is one. Secondly, to take out the platforms, which means the missiles, the long-range missiles, that were aimed into the Israeli territory, already hit a few of them. And we suffered yesterday night from something like 500 missiles that were shot from Iran to Israel. Most of them were intercepted, huge, something like 95% were intercepted, which is a huge number. So the other thing was to take these capabilities out in order to remove immediately the threat from Israel. I don't know if you saw it, but 2 hours ago, I even posted it on my LinkedIn. 2 hours ago, Pakistan sent missiles to Iran. So I don't know how to react regarding that. Let's see, as I said, in the next few hours, what will be. But the issue that you ask is that Israel didn't want to hit any kind of civilian society or population. While that we usually do that, we try not to go there. But after yesterday night, that we had several of dozens of people injured, 3 people killed, and that the Iranian attacks were hitting Tel Aviv and the cities around Tel Aviv. Israel, or I will say the military, decide to go further more and to hit the soft bottom, as we call it, in Iran, and to hit the oil and the fuel tanks that they have, the seaports that they have, and also in Tehran, the area of the supreme leader and the airport itself. So Israel escalated and went into civilian targets after the civilians of Israel were hit by the Iranian missiles.
So, right after the operation, we have seen Iran, as you were rightly mentioning, of how they went up the escalation ladder, even though they were warned not to go for targeting civilian areas. We have seen, for example, 3 of the civilians were killed. A lot of the civilian infrastructure around Tel Aviv was attacked. So,
Yes.
where does this go from here? Does Israel go up the escalation ladder, and will Iran follow the same?
We say in the Middle East that you can forecast only the past. And I think that we are in this type of situation now. Iran today went into some countries as Oman, Qatar, in order to tell them to start negotiation to stop the Israeli attacks. So we believe they are suffering a lot, and the damages are very well significant to their infrastructure and nuclear capabilities. But it really depends on what they will do tonight. So we know that around in something like half an hour from now or something like that, the attacks will start. This is what we assess. If not half an hour, maybe an hour. And it really depends what Iran will send today towards Israel. How many missiles, how many attacks, what will happen, where it will hit. So we are like in a tango or in a ping pong game, and it depends on the rocket heat of the other side. And it looks that we are going to have escalation. This is what it looks like. I hope not. But I think that if there will be escalation from their side, there will be more escalation from the Israeli side. So it's very hard for me now to assess what will be during the night. In the morning, we will be much smarter in the next 10 or 12 hours.
But I wanted to understand that one thing from here, that what Iran claimed is kind of victory, or rather, they were celebrating the fact that the missiles hit civilian areas. And for them, that was an achievement because they could penetrate the air defense system of Israel. Uh, is there any major losses when it comes to, except the civil infrastructure and the population that were affected, from the Israeli side, that the Iranians are claiming it as a victory?
You see, there is no 100% defense. The line of defense, it's not hermetically closed. And to intercept 95% of 500 missiles, this is a huge achievement for the Israeli technologies. This is huge achievement. I'm very well familiar with all aerial defense system in the world. you cannot find any kind of this kind of system, not the Russian S-300 with 400, not the SA-17, and not the American Patriot or Standard. This is a unique technologies, which huge, it's a really huge achievements. Once again, no 100%, and you see that even yesterday night they were aiming the civilian population. For them, this is a victory. To see a missile hit Tel Aviv, it's a victory. And by the way, sadly say, you can see also the Hezbollah, how he was cheering up out of that. In Pakistan, how they were happy out of that. In Hamas, in the Gaza Strip, and also, sadly say, also the Israeli Arabs. They were very happy out of that. They are Israeli citizens, but they got a lot of encouragement out of that.
So now the IDF have said that the road to Tehran has been paved, and we're seeing
Yes.
repeated airstrikes on ballistic missile launchers and depots. Does Iran still possess significant second strike capability, or it has been significantly degraded? And how long can it go? So
Where it can go. First, after the last attack, the Iranian attack on Israel last May, it was May 2024. Israel, with the aerial attack, destroyed their capabilities of production of rocket motors. So they have no capabilities of building new rockets. The US and Israel managed to stop last week a shipment from China for ballistic missiles motor for 300 of those missiles. Once again, Israel and India has a lot in common. We are sharing not the same values and the same spirit, but also the same enemies. This is one issue. The second issue that we know that they had around 2,000 missiles, ballistic missiles. They fired around 500. Israel, we don't know how many missiles were destroyed by the Israeli airstrikes. It's probably around this number as well. So the assessment that they have something like around 1,000 missiles. This is the calculation, and we see that they are calculating, or what we call that missile economy, how many missiles to fire, which is very interesting. We see that in the last barrage, they fired only 50, not 200 as before. So their stock are going and very well getting out of stock. More than that, in the airstrike, and as you said, as the Israeli IDF commander said, we have the paved way to Iran. This is why, because Israel is fully in air superiority over Iran. All the aerial defense systems were shut down. They are firing with AK-47. We are in a fully aerial superiority, and Israel is striking targets. So we assess that they can play in 1,000 missiles all around. So it means that they will have missiles for the next 2-3 days if Israel will not destroy most of them. And the problem for them, happily for us, that the Air Force destroyed not only the missiles but also the launchers. And usually there is one launcher for 10 missiles. So if you can have now hundreds of missiles without a launcher, you cannot do anything. So this is what the Air Force is doing, both of them, and by that taking down their capabilities. Let's see. We are very close to the next attack, I believe. We will see that very soon.
And it's interesting because a couple of last questions that I wanted to ask you, and one of them is basically the attacks that we have seen, and the Israeli Air Force is constantly operating over Tehran, and the bombings that we have seen. Did you ever believe that you could see a day where you see the Israeli Air Force bombing Tehran as if it's Jabalia?
Never. Never in my dreams. For many years, I served 30 years in the Israeli security services in senior positions. I never thought we will be in this kind of situation. This is something that I cannot even imagine can be. I think the achievement of the Mossad and the intelligence and the Air Force are pretty much amazing. And I think it will with manage us and the US and the free world to get rid of the nuclear capabilities of Iran, which are dangerous not only for Israel, for the free world as well. And you can see, by the way, that during the last 2 days, there are French aircrafts, Jordanian aircrafts, American and British. They are all trying to defend Israel. So it's not only Israel, but it's also in a defensive measures, also for other air forces, which from that you can understand that the nations, the European nations, the US, even Jordan, understand that Iran is a real and imminent a threat to the world peace.
And the last thing that I wanted to ask you is, we've seen Prime Minister Netanyahu's address to the nation, and we've often seen that emphasis of how he's putting the stress that Iran is weaker than before, and it is now the time for the people of Iran to take it forward. And if they want to change, the time is now. Is there, in your assessment, that this is the weakest that Iran has been, or is it just reacting to the political pressure that they're facing from the Iranian public? And what is Israel's long-term strategy here? Does it want something like a regime change in Iran?
Yeah. Look, first, during the 60s and the 70s, the relationships between Iran and Israel were amazing. Israel built most of the roads in Iran, a lot of the things in the Iranian military industries. And this was during the Shah regime. And after the Ayatollah came into power, it was lost. So Israel knows that most of the Iranian people want peace in Israel, with Israel. And you see that even the Shah's son that lives in the US is in a very, very close relationship with Israel. Because the Israeli people really likes the Iranian people. This is not the enemy. The regime is the enemy, not the people themselves. And Israel during the years tried in a very low level efforts, try to help the people of Iran to get rid of the regime with the aid of the US and other democracies. So, and you saw that in the last 2 or 3 years, the Iranian wants to get rid of this regime. They don't really feel well. We'll say that gently. So I do believe that with this and by the way, what happened with that is that the Basij Air Force just went there and just killed them. And they are very well afraid. So I think that after taking these barriers and obstacles of this murderous terror regime, the people of Iran, we hope so as Israelis, they will gain their freedom back and will come back to be a rich country, very well developed, with a huge and amazing culture, and going back to be good friends between Israel and Iran as it was in the 70s. And every Israeli is striving for that.
Well, that's all the question that I had for you. Thank you so much for taking your
Good.
time. And I'm glad that we could record it before the siren.
Yes. Thank you so much. Cheers.